Dad, why isn't your child support paid? Oh, well, son, I'm on unemployment. COVID hit hard. I'm behind on some stuff, but I'm back to work now. My stuff's getting garnished. Here's my stuff. Well, Your Honor, pretty much what's going on is I tell my son that everything is circles. Everything is circles in life, and it's going to come back for you. The rule of 10. What good you put out is coming back for you times 10. What bad you put out is coming back for you times 10. Her house of cards is blown up, and it is not my fault.
When the minor child joined in on Mr. C-Slack's abuse, he did state to the child, don't talk to her the way that I'm talking to her. Or which is
Because it's not in his circle. How I speak to his mom, and everything is circles in life, and it's going to come back for you.
For the record, this matter is before the court, and the defendant's motion for temporary possession of the minor child. And this hearing is being conducted via Zoom. Present is Attorney Kirsten Nemec, representing the plaintiff, Mother Hope Smith. Ms. Smith is present. In addition, Attorney Jason Kazmarek is present, representing the defendant, Father David Sislak. Mr. Sislak is present with Mr. Kazmarek. And for the record, the court would note that an ex parte order was entered by Judge Lohmeyer in this court's absence on April 12th, 2024, awarding defendant father temporary possession of the 12-year-old child of the parties, and reserving plaintiff mother's parenting time. Parties have conferred this morning with the front of the court. It is by the court to find recommendation that the ex parte order shall be vacated. The child needs to be returned to school today immediately. The minor child shall have his phone at all times. The child shall have reasonable phone contact with both parents. Neither party shall interfere with communication between the child and the other parent. And this recommendation resolves all parenting time complaints through today. So presumably the prior parenting time order would continue, namely father's parenting time in the first 3 weekends of the month, Friday at 6 to Sunday at 6, and the fourth week he has parenting time Wednesday at 6 to Friday at 6. That's the court's recollection. Ms. Nemec, is this recommendation agreeable with your client this morning?
it is, Your Honor.
Right, Mr. Kazmarek, is this recommendation agreeable with your client?
It's not.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Kazmarek.
I mean, according to the police report, it states well, he's been pretty consistent that he was in an argument with his mother in a vehicle, that he was hit and kicked out of the car by her, by Suter by Kroger, and had to walk to his mother's house. He told this both to my client and the police, and mother admits that she did kick him out of the car to make him walk to cool off. There's disagreement on the location where he was let out of the vehicle. There's also disagreement that he actually got hit. I met with Leanne myself. He was pretty descriptive. He wants to be heard, Judge. I know he'd love to talk to you. I know that probably isn't going to happen, but he wants his voice to be heard. He wants to tell the front of the court. He wants to tell somebody how he feels. So after he was kicked out of the vehicle, he did walk to his mother's house, where they continued to argue. He tried to call for help to his dad. The phone was taken by his grandfather mid-recording, so he'd actually dialed the phone. His father's voicemail answered, and there was a voicemail recording where he was yelling, "You know what you did." He said he didn't want to call his dad, that he just wanted to tell dad what happened. Grandfather took his phone, and grandfather who lives with his mother, kind of said, "Wah, wah, you had to walk home, big deal." So after that, Leon, the minor child, says that they told him, they said, "Get the house," is what he says. He left the home. And he was yelling, "You can't stop me," because mom was trying to get him back. He ends up walking to the Dollar General, which allegedly is about 2 miles away, called his father, pick him up.
Mr. Kazmarek, Mr. Kazmarek, rest assured the court has read every piece of pleading that has been filed.
Yes. I understand. So again, aside from that, I did talk to Leanne today. He's been pretty consistent. He's not comfortable at his mom's house right now, he told me. He just wants to be able to tell that to somebody who can express that to the court. And I know I'm probably not the right person being dad's attorney, but he would like to speak to somebody. He would like. I asked him what kind of parenting time he'd like with his mom. He said he didn't know. But I asked him. He said he'd like a therapist. When I discussed that would be an option, he wants therapeutic parenting time so he can start to reconnect with his mom on a different emotional level because he says that they don't know how to speak anymore together. He just feels kind of overwhelmed at that house with grandfather and grandmother and mother there that and mom's at his school. He's not comfortable and he just wants to be able to express that. That's what he wants. So that's what I'm asking for, Judge.
All right. All right. And if Mr. Pratt, do you think there's any merit in you interviewing this minor child? Again, before I get an answer to that, we have a 12-year-old boy that's not going to drive the bus. And the court believes, Mr. Cieslak, you're the father. You should tell your son he needs to respect his mother. It's no different than when he's disrespecting you and ignoring you, doesn't want to see you. The other parent needs to talk to that child and set that child straight. It's a 12-year-old. He needs his mother. And you have a big part in this whole issue here by reinforcing support for his relationship with his mother. That is huge.
Yep.
So that's
is, Judge,
as important as counseling. Now, is the child right now in counseling? Are the parties identified a therapist or counselor to repair this relationship between mom and child?
Your Honor, the
There
client has been in counseling since 2021, but he has not attended since he's been in Mr. Cieslak's possession since March 26th.
And I know that I did talk to Ms. Smith and I told her to make the appointment and my client would get him there and I've not received that there's any notification of an appointment. But Judge, the problem with Leon
So
is
hold on. Let's get back in counseling. Who's got to schedule the counseling, and whose time will be on, dad's or mom's?
I guess, Your Honor, that's dependent on what the court decides. Previously, it was on mom's time. Mom will go ahead and schedule that and get that handled, but Leon has been with dad all of this time. Dad has the contact information and is able to schedule counseling appointments and has chosen not to.
Okay.
I've been asking if there's been an appointment. There's been no appointment scheduled. So when I did talk to Ms. Smith prior to Ms. Neiman coming in, she had said that there was no future appointments made. And I said, well, if there is, I'll make sure my client gets him there. And I've been notified there's any appointment set, and neither is my client.
Mr. Cieslak had temporary possession of this child and he had the information. So I don't understand why Mr. Cieslak couldn't have scheduled that appointment.
Mr. Cieslak may speak for himself.
Okay, the counseling is presumably during the week, correct? Dad's parenting time is primarily the weekends, except the fourth week of the month. So it's probably better if mom's probably in a better position to reschedule those therapy sessions. So the courts can order that therapy for the minor child forthwith continue. What about school? He's not been in school.
He
Your
missed a
Honor,
couple
he's
days.
not at school today, I was informed.
That's correct. He met with me in my office today, and according to Leon, he didn't want to go to school, not knowing what was going to happen at the end of the day. He was kind of refusing to go to school because he wanted to speak to me. He wanted to speak to the court, and I told him that's not possible. He's sitting outside my office. But I know he wanted to know what the plans were. He didn't because he's uncomfortable.
The plan is he's going to go to school today. She's
Understand.
you get him to school immediately when we get
Understand.
done here. Should not be out of school today. And what, he's been out of school for the last couple of weeks?
He's missed
No.
9 days since Mr. Cieslak, since the ex parte was entered. He's missed 9 days of school.
Is that correct?
That
Mr.
does not
Casimir?
include-
Not since the ex parte was entered.
That
That's
does
not
not
accurate.
include the 1 week of spring break, which was also during that time frame. So outside of spring break, he missed an additional 9 days of school.
Well, the problem, like Leon is concerned, this all happened. He's alleging domestic violence, and again, just the mom's kind of abandoned him, and he's being called a liar. So Leon he's upset. He sees his mom in 3 hours of school every day. He's uncomfortable. He's actually texted dad from the school saying that the administration does nothing to prevent him from walking around. He's uncomfortable.
Your
She's
Honor,
in the-
I
she's in the
object.
presence.
I object to the characterization that Ms. Smith has somehow abandoned this child. Ms. Smith disciplined this child because of the way that he was speaking to her and the statements that he was making in the car. She disciplined this child. Looking back, she regrets how she chose to discipline him, but in that moment, asking him to vacate the vehicle was the only thing she could think to do. She did not hit him. No one forced him to leave the home subsequent to his returning. She has not abandoned this child. Additionally, Ms. Smith she's not a teacher. She's an aide at his school, and she's an aide in 2 classes that Leon is in. So this characterization that she's bothering him, around him all day, and she's abandoned him and abused him, it's all absolutely incorrect. There are no CPS investigations. There are no criminal charges.
Mr. LaPrade, is there any value from your standpoint in interviewing this child?
Your Honor, we will if the court directs us to. I'm just not sure what, I mean, based off of Mr. Kazmarik's representation, I could almost tell you what the child's going to say, whether it be right or wrong.
Yep, I would agree. All right, well, obviously the court, Mr. Cisak, poor choice on your part not sending him to school. His number one job in life right now is to go to school. And you as a parent need to make sure he goes to school. That applies to both mom and dad. So the court's going to adopt this recommendation. You shall get him to school immediately after lunch today. You go to school every day, and you need to have a talk with your son. That's more beneficial to him than the court talking to him, in front of the court talking to him. You need to talk to him and tell him that he needs to respect his mother, just like he needs to respect you as his father. He's a minor child. He's 12 years old. I understand he's going through emotional problems, but his number one obligation is to go to school, not miss school. So get him to school this afternoon and to tell him that
number one obligation is
pick him up after school.
Facility that he can feel comfortable and actually learn. If his mother is breathing down his neck and he can't focus on his studies,
Mr. Cisak, we can't hear anything you're saying. You're breaking up.
I'm sorry. His number one response.
Mr. Kazmarek, do you want a custody hearing date, Mr. Kazmarek? Is that what we're going to do? If you're going to testify, do you want to hear custody hearing date?
I just got reprimanded and I can't even speak.
Probably does, yes.
All right. Put the device in front of Mr. Cisak and the court will hear him out.
Your Honor, on December 23rd of this last year, my son had an appendix rupture, and we were in the hospital, all 3 of us together, for the first time as a family in 6 years. I was getting her blankets and coffee. We were co-parenting our child. When she needs me, I am there. When she does not want me, she alienates me and tells everybody at his school administration that I'm abusive. His counselors down in Sylvania, Ohio, believe that I'm abusive and will not even speak to me. She has done everything that she can to convince everybody that in our life that I'm an abusive father. Leon comes to me and he says, "Dad, why does everybody think you beat me? Dad, why don't you pay your child support? Dad, why isn't your child support paid? Oh, well, son, I'm on unemployment. COVID hit hard. I'm behind on some stuff, but I'm back to work now. My stuff's getting garnished. Here's that. Here's my stuff." Well, Your Honor, pretty much what's going on is I tell my son that everything is circles. Everything is circles in life, and it's going to come back for you. The rule of 10. What good you put out is coming back for you times 10. What bad you put out is coming back for you times 10. It's going to be here. Like, I teach my son these things, and his mother does what she can. Does what she can all the time to alienate me. You need to speak to my son. It's not a recommendation. It is a need. Leon needs to be heard by the family courts and by you guys. He really does. And I'm sorry that I look crazy and eccentric defending my son. I know that I look insane, but the entire time we're arguing about school that she's in 3 of his classes with. Listen to what my son has to say about where he is and then tell me why I seem insane. Talk to my son, not us. If you have my son's best interest at heart, I promise you school is it's his only priority. It is in his circle. Your circle is growing into the person that you are going to be and being happy, learning who you are, and being who you are so you know what you want in life. I tell him these things. What she says that I say to my son, this is our adult relationship and what I explained to him. Your mom and I can't get along, and I'm sorry about that. But that doesn't mean that you talk to her the way that I talk to her. But that doesn't mean that you talk to her the way that I talk to her.
That doesn't mean that you talk to her the way that I talk to her.
She tells people I'm abusive and I lose my temper with her because she tells people that I hit you, that are his school administrators, are his counselors. His counselors are under the assumption his dad is abusive. Of course, they're not going to speak to me when I go down there to what is Helping Hands of Sylvania, Ohio. And I walk in and they look at me like I'm an abusive male before I even step in. It isn't fair. It's narcissistic. She's been lying to my son since he was a child, since he was a small, and it's her house of cards is blown up, and it is not my fault. It's not his. And then when she wanted to beat him and drop him off on Suitor, they were arguing over child support. Why do you want to go to your dad's? Why do you even want to go over there? He doesn't even
Cezak, were
care.
you there? Mr. Cezak,
No,
did you hear
sir, I
firsthand
was
that
not, but
discussion?
I understand. My son is extremely articulate. My son is
I
extremely
understand.
intelligent. And
He-
I
he's,
know
he's
my
telling you what
son.
you want to hear. He's telling mom what she wants to hear. But what the court's going to do, the court's going to obviously conflict. The court's going to add to this recommendation. The court's going to order that both of you to complete a highconflictsolutions.com workshop. And both of you do that
Thank
and
you.
provide the court with a 100-word statement in terms of what you learned from that class. And we'll set this for review in about 30 days. But in the meantime, the court that's going to adopt this recommendation. The expired are to be vacated. The child's going to be returned to school today. The mom's parenting time is restored. And dad, you have to have that conversation with them. And if in fact, if there's still issues 30 days from now, the court will set this for a trial. If you want a full-blown custody trial, and that's going to create a lot of issues for the relationship between you and his mother and the child. I can assure you that. So I want you to both, it's called the High Conflict Solutions, plural.com workshop. It's an online workshop. It'll help you address some of these difficult times. So you had to have the discussion with your son. Let him know he's going back with his mom. If
I
in
will
fact
100%.
there's
I'm
issues in
sorry.
30 days, we will set a custody hearing date.
Judge, I know that one of the questions my client did ask me is, can Leon have his own attorney? And I know this court doesn't normally do that, but I'm asking if an LGAL can be appointed, maybe the cost be split between the parties. That is a
If the
request.
two of you agree upon a JL, the court has no objection to that. But again, the parties will have to share the cost equally or what proportion of their respective incomes. The court does not pay for that. Again, the court's going to order to get the child immediately back to not only school, but also counseling. So, Ms. Smith, you should, when you get done here, get that appointment scheduled ASAP.
Okay.
Can we have the child do a preference interview? Is that a possibility?
We're going to wait. And the court agrees with Ms. LaPratt. At this point in time, he's going to say, I want to live with that. I'm sure he's going to say that. But I think if he has if dad has a genuine discussion with his son saying, you've got to respect your mother. No, he also has to respect his father. I'd say the same thing if he was having issues with his dad right now. He's got to respect his father. He's got one mother and one father in this world. He needs his mother. And so I think that'll go a long way to restoring the parents' relationship between mother and son. But the counseling is critical for the child.
Violence. We don't even care about domestic violence allegations. We don't. There's nothing. If I was beating my son because I had to pay child support to his mom and dropped him off on the street,
There should be no discussion about this case with the child.
and yet she's discussing him and then hitting him over
Talk
it.
about child support. No discussion about
She's discussing it with him and then hitting him over it.
Your Honor, may I respond to some of the things that Mr. Cieslak is saying?
Have Hope respond.
I attached to my motion several instances where Mr. Cieslak stated affirmatively to Ms. Smith in writing that he had shared pleadings, orders, and discussed this case with Leon, and has stated that he believes that deserves to know that Ms. Smith is a whore. He sat in front of Leon on both Thursday and Friday of last week, calling Ms. Smith names that I will not repeat on this record. He calls her repeatedly, tells her to fuck off in front of the child. And while he did on Friday start berating Ms. Smith with disgusting language, when the minor child joined in on Mr. Cieslak's abuse, he did state to the child, don't talk to her the way that I'm talking to her. Or which is,
Because it's not in his circle. How I speak to his mom.
That's,
and our
there's nothing more
relationship, him and his
damaging to a
mom.
minor child than either party to talk with the child in that regard about the other parent. So no disparaging remarks about the other parent with the child, and there should be no discussion of this case or any aspect of this case with the child. You simply
My son comes up to me
tell
and
the
asks me
child
questions,
that
I'm
he's going to
not
go
gonna
back to
lie.
mom. All right.
He's gonna see that
We're
in
done.
records when he's an adult. He's an adult, just like I did. He's
Thank you,
gonna see
Mr.
that.
Craig, the
Your Honor.
revised recommendation, and
Yes,
this
sir, it's in your
matter is
queue.
concluded.